Dancing is something that kind of happened to me. I don't know where it came from, but I know that I was always dancing. I mean, I remember when I was 15 and I took a jazz dance class, and there was this amazing teacher and he was so inspiring, and I just remember feeling so alive. I was sweaty. I did not have a lot of technique, and it wasn't about the technique, but it was just, I knew that. I knew the moment I took my first real technique classes that I wanted to become a dancer. And then the second one was when I was 18 and I was in Chicago, and I took a class with this amazing Russian woman. She was a Limon dance teacher and a ballet teacher. And Anna Chayun, she was just a strong Russian woman, and she would teach these Limon bars, and she would have so much expression in her being, in her way of teaching, in her just her personality. It was so inspiring that I was like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Kind of taste it. Taste what the quality of your partner's spine feels like. If you like, you can begin to engage your arm on the leg a little bit more.
After about 10 years of doing set work, of doing choreography and company work, I was looking for something else. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I felt like I wanted to go deeper. I always had a really strong interest in psychology and psychotherapy, but also spirituality, and I couldn't quite put these things together yet. The first time I really had this big aha moment was when I did authentic movement at Earth Dance, which is about 4 hours outside of New York. It's this beautiful place in nature. And we moved outside in the forest, in the fall, with the leaves, with the water around. There was a little stream around, and I had so many rich experiences within 1 hour of movement. In this moment that I think I also realized that it's on a very personal level, that it is a spiritual practice, that it's a political practice, that it is a physical practice and a personal practice all together. Authentic movement and contact improvisation, those are both forms that are never finished. It's a practice of diving into the unknown each time, diving into the next layer of yourself, of your development by yourself, with the people that you practice with your life. After I was in the US for 10 years, I came back to Vienna and I worked for 14 years in a rehabilitation center for people after severe accidents, car accidents and work accidents. And a lot of people with brain injuries, multiple traumas, amputations, spinal cord injuries. And I had this woman who was severely disabled. Yeah, she could barely stand up, she could barely walk, she could barely speak. And I remember talking about dancing, and the moment I started explaining to her what we were going to do, she was like this. She woke up, she was like, yeah, I want to do that. I don't know how, but I'm yeah. And I turned on the music and she jumped out of her wheelchair, and I was so scared because she just threw herself on the floor, and she jumped out and she started moving to the music, and I just cried. The two main pillars of the teacher's trainings are contact improvisation and authentic movement. Those are the core forms that I work with, and I very much work with the interconnection of those two. Yeah? Contact improvisation is physical, has to do with touch, has to do with communication with at least one other body. Authentic movement is an inner process work. It comes out of dance therapy. It is quite a ritualized form, and it really works with eyes closed, works with the inner processes of moving, but also of developing a language. It has the moving aspect and the speaking aspect of it. Contact improvisation is a very playful, very versatile, diverse form of improvisation. The way I like to use contact improvisation is mainly as a form to connect with your inner body, to develop skills, to move and connect yourself. And by yourself, I mean my inner body in connection with my physical body. And then to communicate with another body. Yeah, it's a form that is highly intimate. There's always touch, there's always weight. It can be very soft, it can be very sensual, but it can also be highly acrobatic. I like working with principles in contact improvisation. It allows people with different backgrounds, with different levels of experiences to enter. And when you work with a principle, you can take the principle and then expand it according to your skill. We work with reaching. Reaching meaning I'm extending my body out into the space. I'm extending my spine out into space. I elongate my body to make myself lighter. Another principle is listening. That's actually a principle that applies to all of improvisation. Listening to yourself, listening to your dance partners, listening to the space, listening to the composition of a group, listening to the empty space or the unknown. It's kind of very much about the atmosphere of the moment. It keeps us in the moment. And listening in terms of really connecting to your partner. Yeah? Listening instead of forcing a moment, instead of manipulating your dance partner, but listening for readiness. Well, the teacher's training really developed out of my personal process. Like I said, I was a professional dancer and choreographer for many years, and then I came back to Vienna and I worked in the rehabilitation center for 14 years. I remember being in my kitchen, cooking actually, and listening to some incredible music, and it was really this inner movement where I felt like there is something that I want to bring to this world that has the potential to develop more out, has the potential that we can bring it to other people, that everybody can dance. Yeah, this is what I learned really in the rehabilitation center, that even if you're severely disabled, even if you have restricted life conditions, people dance in their kitchen, people dance in their wheelchair. Yeah, so I want to develop a format for everybody to be able to use the tools that I found that worked for myself. And that in and of itself is also, it's a political mission, even though I don't say it's political, but it's my personal political mission, because I feel that if I connect to my body, I will connect differently to the environment. If I connect to myself in a holistic, sustainable way, if I honor my body, if I treat my body well, I will most likely treat somebody else well. For me, that's really a step into developing a new performance quality. Moving from this inner body, moving from a somatic, holistic sense, has a very soft, very internal quality that is difficult to portray on a big stage, but within a certain setting, within a small stage setting, or within nature on film and on photography, you can really express that beautifully, and that's really something that I'm interested in developing further. I love that. Yeah.